Hello, it's Travis Leglider, Extension Weed Scientist at the University of Kentucky, and today we're looking at Trial 20-19. We are at the Caldwell County Research Site, which is our water hemp research site. We are approximately 5 miles from the University of Kentucky Research and Education Center in Princeton, Kentucky. This trial is evaluating Ingenia Prime versus its competitors. It is treated as a true no-till trial with a burn down applied on May 28th. Soybeans planted 2 weeks later. It was intended as a 7-day burn down, but we ended up with the weather being able to plant 2 weeks later. And today is July 2nd, so we are 5 weeks out from that burn down application. And here we're going to go ahead and start looking at our untreated, and you can see that at this site we are primarily a water hemp site. This site is primarily water hemp. There's a few annual grasses in there and a few sedges, but overall it is a pure stand of water hemp at this site. And this water hemp is now approaching at least 12 inches in height, if not some of them approaching close to 16 inches in height. So that as you're untreated, you can see how dense that stand is. And that is a situation we don't want to face, as we do not have any post-emergence products that are going to help us control that stand of water hemp. So moving into our treatments here we have Ingenia Prime. Ingenia Prime is dicamba, pyroxasulfone or residua, and imazethapyr, which is pursuit. Then you can also see there's Roundup in there, as this was a burn down. So within that, the dicamba is helping you with the burn down, and then you have your residua and your pursuit as residuals. Although we do not consider that pursuit to be giving us any residual against the water hemp, as it is an ALS inhibitor, although don't want to discount it, as it will help us out with other weeds. So it is still in there doing a good job against other species. But as far as water hemp goes, we're going to consider this treatment to only have one effective residual on the ground. But still, as we are 5 weeks out, it is still doing a very good job and helping us control this water hemp and keep it at bay. You can see it has started to break, and it started to break over the last week, and that's what we expect out of our residuals. 4 to 5 weeks is what we expect out of our residuals, and that's what we got out of this one. So that's really good for a single effective site of action, that residual on the ground. And we would need to be in here at the end of this week, beginning of next week, to make our post application, to make that application timely on these weeds. But post application is going to be very effective on this, especially when you compare it. We'll pan back over here to an untreated check. Okay, so residuals, they do pay every time, and here you have a single effective residual as a pre-mix package already in there with the dicamba, and again, you're getting some pursuit with it as well in the Ingenia Prime. Another Ingenia product, Ingenia Pro, and what that's going to have is the dicamba again plus residua, so it's lacking that pursuit in there. Again, you still have the Roundup Power Max, as this is a burn down, so you have your Power Max and dicamba, and then the residua as your residual. And this is going to look very similar, a single side of action residual out here. You can see there's a few weeds that are already up to 4 inches, but most of these have broken in the last week. So again, giving us about 4 weeks of residual, 4 to 5 weeks of residual out of this product. Looks very good for a single side of action residual. And again, it's the convenience of already having it pre-mixed in there with that dicamba. So that's Ingenia Pro. Looking at some of their competitors, and probably the competitor that's most in line with this mixture would be Tavium, and that includes dicamba. It has that vapor grip in there, and then you're also going to have S-metolachlor or dual 2 magnum. And again, it's only one effective site of action as far as the residual goes, and that's group 15, and that's why it compares pretty closely to that Ingenia Prime and Ingenia Pro. And again, you can see on this single side of action as far as a residual goes, but still gave us a good 4 to 5 weeks before it started to break. Most of this started to break last week. And again, we would need to be in here this week to make a timely post application. But overall, having this residual on here, even though it's only one effective site of action, is doing us a lot better job than an untreated. You can see our check strip there just to the left, showing you the power of a pre, even a single group 15 out here. And again, the convenience with Tavium is it's a premix of the dicamba and the S-metolachlor. So you get your dicamba for the burn down, but you're still getting a residual with that application. So we'll go back here to the second tier and look at some other competitive products, some other pre's, some other burn down programs. So to start off with, Here we have Prefix, Roundup Power Max, and 2,4-D. So no dicamba in this, but rather using 2,4-D as our growth regulator in that burn down, and Power Max similar to the others. And then Prefix is giving you Fomesafen or Flexstar and S-metolachlor or Dual 2 Magnum. So we're getting two effective sites of action on here, a group 14 and a group 15. That Fomesafen will give you residual out here, along with, again, the S-metolachlor, that group 15. So, and this looks very similar. You can see we have broken this, again, at 4, we expect this to last us 4 to 5 weeks. So it gave us exactly what we wanted. And the advantage of this treatment is we are getting two effective sites of action on here rather than just one. And again, that's Prefix, Roundup, and 2,4-D. Moving on. Here we have Anthem Max plus Roundup Power Max and 2,4-D. Again, the Roundup Power Max and 2,4-D as a burn down, and then Anthem Max. What that's going to give you is Zidua and Cadet. So really, we're just getting the Zidua or that group 15 as a residual. The Cadet's not really offering us much as far as a residual. It is a group 14, but it's not going to do a whole lot for us against that water hemp. But it is in there helping us out with some other weeds, and you can see, so mainly we're looking at Zidua here as a residual, and it's similar to that Ingenia Prime and Ingenia Pro in that it's giving us 4 to 5 weeks of residual. Most of this water hemp has broken in the last week, so giving you 4 to 5 weeks of residual, and that's what we're looking for, that's what we're asking for. So that is Anthem Max with Roundup and 2,4-D, 5 weeks out. Next, we have Fierce EZ plus Roundup Power Max plus 2,4-D. So Fierce EZ is offering us Zidua or pyroxasulfone plus flumioxazin or Valor. So you're getting two effective sites of action in there, a group 14 with the Valor and a group 15 with that Zidua. So this is what we do like to see, is two effective sites of action, and you can see very similar results to all of our other treatments here. It has started to break in the last week. We do have some water hemp plants emerging now. There's a few of them out here, but you do have some of those water hemp plants starting to emerge, and that's what we're seeing. 4 to 5 weeks of residual. Maybe we got just a little bit more residual out of this one, but overall in this trial, going through the ratings through the 4 reps, everything looks similar as far as our ratings go. But we like this because we have two effective sites of action, and that's usually the thing that we struggle with farmers, is the single site of action stuff usually looks similar to this to the 2 and 3 sites of action, but in the long term, 2 to 3 sites of action is going to give us better results or better long-term resistance management than just that single effective site of action. But again, anything is better than nothing. So that's Fierce EZ. And then lastly, we have Boundary, and this is going to give us S-metolachlor or Dual 2 Magnum and Metribuzin. So again, two effective sites of action, a group 15 and a group 5 in there with that Boundary. Roundup Power Max and the 2,4-D in there as part of that burn down. And as we go back in here, you can see this one very similar. It has started to break over the last week. Most of these weeds are at the 2 to 4 inch height. They need to be sprayed this week, if not next week, more than likely this week. But this residual has held out for us for 4 weeks, as we would expect it to. Again, we expect 4 to 6 weeks out of our residuals, so that's holding it up. And again, you're getting the advantage of this one is you're getting two effective sites of action. So again, a trial looking at multiple residuals that are available to us, some single actives and some double actives out here. But again, any active or any residual is better than nothing. As you look back in there, you can see the running checks and you can see the untreated plots as well. So all of these are giving us 4 to 5 weeks of residual, and that's what we're always looking for water hemp control. So that is trial 20-19.